of playing. And then you go to the first game we're going to preview, which is Georgia versus Oregon. Now, this was going to be a really good matchup no matter what. Then it got really more entertaining this offseason. Georgia, obviously, Oregon loses their head coach. Mario Cristobal leaves to go become the head coach of Miami. There's all rumors about who Oregon is going to hire. They ultimately hire Dan Lanning. Why is that name important? Because Dan Lanning spent the 3 previous seasons as the defensive coordinator at Georgia. The quarterback for Oregon, Bo Nix, SEC guy. One of the more, I think this is a fair thing to say, one of the more polarizing players in college football. Some people think he's terrible. Some people see him as being a guy that wasn't great his first couple years, but was starting to play really good football last year when he got hurt. If you're objective, you should be able to say that. That's this guy right here. Bo was playing really well when he got hurt last year. Is it enough to win this game? It's a neutral site game in Atlanta, right? End of the day, Ryan, this is going to be a fun matchup to talk about. I just don't think it's going to be an overly competitive game. I don't think it's going to be like a 30-point blowout, but here's my issue with Oregon. Whole new coaching staff, new system. You're changing a lot of things. I like Bo Nix. I think he's a good player, but I think he's more of a game manager. He's going to have some good weapons around him, but they're young. I'm just not sure if they match up great against Georgia. I know their offensive line has talent, but losing Coach Alex was huge. Huge. I think he's one of the 5 to 10 best offensive line coach. Like, you want to talk to me about guys that I'm a big fan of offensive line coaches. Obviously, I talk about Harry Hiestand a lot. I talk about Bill Bedenbaugh a lot from Oklahoma. I talk about Kyle Flood a lot. I've been high on Justin Fry going back to his BC days. Coach Alex is in. I'm trying to remember what his last name is. I call him
it's
Morat. Oh man, I have to look it up. But anyway, he's another offensive line coach that I am very high on. But the problem is he went with Cristobal to Miami, and so I think I don't have the same faith that they're going to be able to go out there and. I'll say this: I would be more confident in Miami's ability. Mirabel. More confident in Miami's ability to stay in this game if he was still their offensive line coach. And so that's really what it boils down to me. Yes, Georgia lost some big-time players, but they got some big-time players coming back. Here's the thing for me, Ryan. I actually think Georgia's going to be more explosive offensively this year. I know they lost Jermaine Burton, but they had a lot of guys. Kearse Jackson was banged up last year. If you go back and look at what Kearse was in 19 and I think 20, because I think he actually was a little bit banged up in 20 as well. I'm trying to get my recollection correct. But Kearse was, I thought, on the verge of breaking out in past seasons. He played a lot last year, but he was banged up all year last year. In 2020, he had 36 catches for 514 yards in 10 games. He's a guy that I've always liked as a pass catcher. He's different from Jermaine Burton, but he's healthy. Obviously you've got the tight ends coming back. You've got Eric Gilbert coming back. I like Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton at running back. I think the offensive line is going to still be good. I think Todd Monken is finally getting into his groove offensively. I just don't think Oregon's got the firepower on either side of the ball to stay in this game with Georgia. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I picked the same. I think I predicted my outcome to be 34-17 Georgia.
Yeah, I went 27-16 Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're relatively in the same ballpark as far as we think it's a situation where Georgia just they're going to have too much coming back as far as the ability to reload. I know they lost a lot of players, but you're still bringing back guys like Nolan Smith and your quarterbacks, Stetson Bennett's coming back, and you have 2 former high 4-star, 5-star caliber running backs who barely even played behind Zamir White and James Cook and Milton and McIntosh. So there's a lot of talent still coming back. Eric Gilbert and Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers.
Ladd McConkey's their Hunter Renfro. You know what I mean?
Ladd's a very solid football player. So they have a lot coming back. The Jones kid at left tackle, I think, is going to be a really good football player as he continues to get better. Broderick Jones. So I think Georgia just has enough coming back, and I think that they're just a little bit at a higher caliber right now. And I personally don't really think Dan Lanning gives them like this big like inside track, and because I mean, for the most part, in my opinion, Georgia just had dudes last year, man. So like it was kind of, I'm not gonna say it was easy being a defensive coordinator for them, but like it was, not the hardest job of all time being a defensive coordinator with that type of talent that they had. So I think they overwhelm them eventually, kind of wear them down a little bit at the end. So I think that the game might be closer for a while than the 34-17 would indicate for me.
Yeah.
Like maybe at some point it'd be like 27-17 and a late touchdown.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I think Oregon will hit a couple big plays early. I do. Right. I like their talent. I do like their skill talent on offense. I do. Especially if Dante Thornton can kind of have a breakout sophomore year, which I think will happen. Is it enough in the opener against Georgia? I don't know. But I think Georgia just wears them down. I do. And, there was a comment saying, Georgia lost everyone. The reality is losing starters is not the same as what it used to be because guys play. Yes, Georgia lost some really big-time players in the front seven, but they're not replacing them with guys that have never played meaningful snaps in a football game.
And you're still bringing back Nolan Smith, who's a former #1 overall recruit. You're still bringing back Jalen Carter, who's probably going to be a top 5 draft pick next year. I mean, there's still plenty of guys coming back. Right. There's guys.
And I just don't think Oregon has enough, in my opinion, in this game to stop them. I do think it'll be close for 2.5, 3. Well, 27-16 is not a blowout. I just see it being a game that, Oregon's going to have. I think they're going to hit a couple big plays early. I just think they're going to be able to struggle to consistently move the football. Is how I see it.
And I'll say this: I think that Oregon's going to play tough defensively for a while because it's the one thing that Oregon does have coming back is they have guys like Noah Sewell coming back, who's a really good player, and Brandon Dorius up front is a good football player, and Justin Flo, if he's ever able to stay healthy, Brian is a really talented football player, man. So
if he can stay healthy, they have one of the best 1-2 punches a linebacker in the country. That's a big if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, so I think they'll keep it tough, but at the end of the day, I just don't think Oregon has enough firepower offensively. Like they lose both their running backs. You're breaking in Bo Nix, and again, I'm not the biggest Bo Nix guy of all time, and we'll see what happens. But I just don't think they have quite enough offensively.
I like Bo Nix more than you. Do I think Bo Nix is good enough to put a team on his shoulders and have him beat Georgia and Atlanta? No, I do not at all. And that's really what it boils down to.